Hello everyone, RN here. Before we get started, some people in the comments felt I left some creatures out of the previous video on the Breadbug family, and if you haven't seen that one, I'll link it in the cards that pop up in the corner right now. So before we begin with the Breadbug family, here's a few additions to the Grubdog family. Bulborb larva is the baby version of all Grubdogs. It has no coloration except for a bit of red on its tail end, and they're about the size of any of the captains you play in-game. The Wikipedia page for Bulborb larvas recommend that it's safer to fight them with your character itself versus your Pikmin army, and I happen to agree. They spawn quickly and are usually in swarms, and they have the ability to finish eating a Pikmin once they have caught it, even if their health has already been depleted. But since they're fragile, it's super simple for you to clear them out with your own fists, put in video evidence here. They can be seen being birthed by the Empress Bullblacks in some cases, and while in conflict with her, she may roll over and crush them. And as a final note, they will eventually grow into the albino dwarf Bulborb after its first molt. Now, the albino dwarf Bulborb is another creature I briefly brought up last episode and was asked to flesh out details on. These dwarfs are true Grubdogs, unlike some of the Breadbug mimics seen in-game. Now, it's interesting to note that they are cannibalized by adult Bulborbs, and so are only active at night or in caves, as referenced in video here. And I believe that matters because Breadbugs mimic adult Bulborbs' coloration to avoid being preyed upon, as stated by Captain Olimer. Another distinction between them and the Breadbugs that mimic them is that they have more health and take 2 Pikmin landing on their backs to defeat them. And finally, these albino dwarfs won't show any specified characteristics of what type of Bulborb they will become till they reach their second molt, and so we can assume all shown in Pikmin 4 are at the first molt stage. Up next, we have the Jumbo Bulborb. Appearing in Pikmin 4, it's abnormally large, and its size is compared to an Emperor Bullblacks in size. And it has differing behavior to the normal Bulborbs that are very sedentary in the daytime. They're either patrolling, similar to Spotty Bullbear's behavior, or they can ambush prey by hiding in foliage, albeit not so well. They also have their special aggressive flailing lunge that can throw Pikmin forward, or if it fails, cause it to trip. And as a final note to their existence, this is put down by Captain Olimer. During reproduction, after an egg is fertilized by a sperm, any excess chromosomes are usually discarded through a process called meiosis, but occasionally this process fails to occur, and a Bulborb individual will develop irregularly due to his chromosomal abnormality. Specimens like this one are stronger than the average Bulborb and can exhibit more aggressive behavior. However, they are not able to procreate as they will never reach sexual maturity. And it's kind of sad really, it's almost like how a tiger and a lion can make a liger, but all ligers are sterile. Now, someone wanted me to discuss the moldy dwarf Bulborb as well, which are dwarfs infected with parasitic toxstool, but as it's just another creature infected by a parasite, I don't really consider it a legitimate individual Grubdog family member. I will say that while reading about it, apparently if killed and a toxstool is nearby, it can be revived by the toxstool's spore area attack. Alright, now that all these additions from previous episodes are out of the way, we can continue with the Breadbug family and start with the Crumbug. The Crumbug is the tiny version of the vanilla Breadbug and can be found in Hey Pikmin. I find it interesting that it actually eats Pikmin, as it's the only Breadbug to do so that isn't pretending to be a Grubdog mimic. It is the first common enemy in Hey Pikmin, and honestly, as much as it's trying to eat you, it looks actually really sad to me when you beat it up. I figured they'd be a little more intimidating or like ferocious, but it just seems more like when you stiff arm someone smaller than you as they try to swing at you. Up next is the vanilla Breadbug. It isn't aggressive like the Crumb, it just likes to bother you by dragging loot or food that's lying on the ground to its nest, and it can only really kill Pikmin by dragging them along with it if they fail at tug-of-war. But if the Breadbug is dragged in return, it can be defeated after striking the onion or your ship. Like all in this family, its weakness is having Pikmin thrown on its back, and Captain Olimer shares in a note, the adult Breadbug competes for many of the same food sources as Pikmin, but its thick-skinned hide allows it to withstand most Pikmin group attacks. However, some researchers claim to have observed Breadbugs being overwhelmed by massive numbers of Pikmin and reduced to food. So while swarming it in-game doesn't work, lore-wise, it's canon. Now, we have the giant Breadbug next, and it can be seen in Pikmin 2 and 4, and it's a giant walking loaf of bread. It takes more Pikmin to beat in a tug-of-war since it's bigger and thus more strong, or it takes more beefcake Pikmin to kick its buns. It also takes more knocks to the noggins via the onions or the ship to be defeated, but it can replenish its health if it successfully returns items to its nest. And interestingly enough, it also has an exclusive theme that differs slightly in Pikmin 2 and 4 that I will now show you. Next time you go to fuck the club up, there's your next soundtrack. Up next is the Fireflat Bulborb. I wanted to jump into this one next because I didn't know of its existence until I studied all the monsters for this series. It's from Hey Pikmin also, and it will try to drop fireballs on you. I find it interesting that it has the Bulborb name, but its scientific name is Pansaurus for the Breadbug family, and not Oculus of the Grubdog family. It does share Volcanus in its scientific name with fiery bullblacks, but so do other creatures that have the ability to be covered in fire. So I'd say that part of the name has to do with that ability more than with being relatives in the family tree. Apparently it's another form of the fiery dwarf bullblacks. Quoted from Captain Olimer, this evolved fiery dwarf bullblacks has taken flight, it seems. It rains down flaming chunks of desiccated skin, an attack as effective as it is disgusting. Though given the nature of its projectiles, perhaps it doesn't mean to attack at all. Up next, we'll continue into the fiery dwarf bullblacks that is related to it. Now again, we're running into another situation where the scientific name is Oculus, which comes from the Grubdog family, rather than Pansaurus of the Breadbug family, which is confusing because every single Breadbug mimic or not has Pansaurus. This is Pansaurus. This is Pansaurus. Even the Fireflap Bulborb that Olimer notes is another version of the fiery dwarf bullblacks is named Pansaurus. So I just feel like the scientific name for this one being Oculus for the Grubdog family has to be a typo that they just never corrected. It doesn't really make sense otherwise. Again, this is another creature in Hey Pikmin, and they're not that tough. They are much larger than normal dwarfs though, I will say that for the Bulborb side of the family, because they're still taller than you and all your Pikmin, even as dwarf bullblacks. But as always, if you stick to red Pikmin, you can take them down fairly easily. Up next, we have all the dwarf Bulborbs that Breadbugs mimic, which include red dwarfs, orange dwarfs, and snow dwarf Bulborbs. But we can throw in the fiery dwarf bullblacks we just went over, if you want to round out all the fake Grubdog family younglings. As we discussed in the previous video of the Grubdog family, and if you haven't seen that, I'll link it again, these creatures escape being preyed upon by mimicry. All of them share the weakness of being instantly defeated by Pikmin landing on their back, but these mimics do have slight nuances in their behavior. The red dwarf has the unique ability to cry for help from an adult Bulborb when attacked, but it only pertains to Pikmin 1. While the orange dwarf Bulborb, intriguingly enough, mimics the adult orange Bulborb's heightened stress nature that alerts them early to your presence. Which is interesting that its mimicry would go farther than just appearance and go down to their behavior and their capabilities as well. The snow dwarf bulborb has less health than the red and orange bulborbs, which means it mimicked the adult snow bulborb, aka hairy bulborb's frailer body, as it also has less health than the adult red and orange counterparts. And now another commenter left this message stating that snow bulborbs also have a behavior distinction of ignoring Pikmin to focus on eating rather than shaking them off, but I couldn't confirm this through my own research, but leave a comment if you agree or disagree with that statement. That is all for the Breadbug family. It was definitely shorter than the Grubdog family, but I still needed to put work into it a lot. I hope you all enjoyed, and now get off my lawn, and I'll see you next time.